Harold was born on September 14, 1932, to Herbert McTeer and Ruth Miller in Haines City and had a younger brother, Lewis. His father had moved to Winter Haven when he was 17 to join his brother and worked for Winter Haven Citrus Growers Association and J.B. Scott during the citrus season. In 1920, his father planted his first citrus grove in Haines City, and Harold and Lewis grew up helping him do the caretaking, eventually going into business together in the late 1960s for over 40 years under the name of the Harold and Lewis Partnership. He graduated from Haines City High School in 1950 and attended Ohio State University for 2 years, studying animal science before being drafted into the Army in 1953. When Harold got out of the Army in 1955, he returned to Haines City and continued to take citrus and agricultural courses at the University of Florida's Citrus Research and Education Center at Lake Alfred, developing a bond with the center that would last a lifetime. He met his wife, Mary Helms, at church, and they were married in 1956. Together, they have 3 children, Susan, Herb, and Emery. Although Harold continued to work with his father in the groves while he was going to school, he felt that moving into the chemical side of the business was the best opportunity at the time and would help broaden his knowledge of agriculture. Therefore, he went to work in the production area for W.H. Clark Fruit Company in Lutz, near Tampa, and worked there for 9 years before joining Kaiser Ag Chemical as a fertilizer and chemical distributor. His first task at the time was to get the growers to stop hoeing and disking and go to chemical weed control. He encouraged this method because not only was it more economical, it also helped offer cold protection, since bare ground absorbs more heat and releases it at night. In 1971, he was asked to join DuPont by 2 of the sales representatives there with whom he had worked. It proved to be the right move for him. Harold worked as a sales representative for DuPont for 27 years and traveled the state helping growers learn how to use herbicides safely and effectively in their groves. At that time, growers were just beginning to use residual herbicides for weed control, and Harold was instrumental in determining and recommending not only the herbicide mixes to use, but more importantly, providing the growers with the expertise on setting up and calibrating the equipment necessary to apply those chemicals. Never afraid to get his hands dirty, he worked side by side with the grove personnel to make sure they were doing it right. In addition, he had no qualms telling growers to use a different product line if he felt it was a better fit for their grove. The more he learned, the more he wanted to share his knowledge and learn even more, and he became well known as the go-to guy for many growers in the production arena. In 1985, he was one of only 15 individuals ever inducted into the worldwide DuPont Crop Protection Sales and Marketing Hall of Fame, the highest honor within the DuPont organization.
You greet people and you're treated a particular way or not, and Harold is unusual in that when you come up to Harold to greet him and shake his hand, he takes you into a little sort of private world for a moment, and you feel very much that you're Harold's friend and nothing else matters at that moment.
A major grower cooperator with the Citrus Research and Education Center Plant Improvement Team in Lake Alfred, he was always available to provide land, time, materials, and his own labor and money for their rootstock and scion trials. He loved to work with the researchers and help find solutions to the various problems faced by the growers. Dr. Jude Grosser said, "With the exception of Hall of Famer Mr. Orry Lee, I know of no other family grower that has dedicated so much personal resources to conducting citrus research with no intention of personal financial gain."
There's just a handful of these special type of growers, small family type growers that have this passion, and they give you the shirt off their back to help you develop something that they know will help the industry for the long term.
Often in the field trial, more than the researchers, Harold's observations added considerable value to the project in offering information that was not only useful to growers but also helped to educate the researchers. Those contributions allowed many field research projects to become realities and benefit the entire citrus industry, including the commercial release of new sweet orange varieties such as Early Gold and tree size controlling rootstocks. The field day that showcased that project was the largest attendance in the history of the CREC, with more than 300 people showing up to see the results. Unfortunately, during the state's canker eradication program, the 20-acre trial grove was found to have canker and had to be razed. But Harold, ever resourceful, turned it into blueberries after talking to his friend Gerald Mixon.
This piece of property that we lost all of our experiments on because of canker Soon afterwards, Harold said, well, I'm not giving up on research, and we'll continue being a cooperator, and we subsequently designed and planted another trial, and so we were moving on despite the setback that we had at that time, and that's a measure of the man that we're talking about here.
Even with that setback, Harold's commitment to research continues to this day, as he recently planted another trial project on his property that's related to new grove design concepts, advanced production system, and cultural approaches, open hydroponic system. Harold also served 25 years as one of the longest-standing board members of the Haines City Citrus Growers Association and used his position there to voice the concerns of the small grower. As John Husted noted, he was a source of knowledge to the others around the table, and his insight and leadership was valuable to other board members when it came to production programs and practices. In fact, he was extremely instrumental in Waverly's decision to join with Haines City CGA after Waverly closed their packing house in 2005.
You don't need a contract with Harold McTeer. If everyone in the industry was like him, there'd be no contracts written. There would be nothing but handshakes, and that's how he operated here at Haines City CGA.
Harold retired from DuPont in 1997 and started doing consulting work with growers before permanently retiring in 2009. However, he still continues to work in his groves and with his son Emery on the blueberries.
Harold is, I have to say, is one of the finest gentlemen I've ever had the privilege of knowing in my life. And there's, you come across these people very rarely. One year I invited him to come up to northwestern Ontario in Canada, where I spent a whole week with him, and we were in the boat together for 10 hours every day, and he's just a total joy to be around. He's very calm, always smiling, and really enjoys nature, enjoys discussing the Florida citrus industry and what we need to do to make the industry sustainable and profitable in the future.
Harold's generosity, commitment, involvement, insights, and general citrus knowledge have made him highly respected in both the research and grower communities, while his quiet, patient manner, sense of humor, and attitude have made him well-liked and a friend to all who know him. Professor Bill Castle describes Harold as someone who has made a difference in the personal lives of many others and who has advanced the citrus industry by virtue of his unflagging belief in a future, his aid to others as a respected consultant, and an abiding interest in research. He noted that Harold is a man who believes that actions do indeed speak louder than words, and we in the research community and the citrus industry have directly benefited. Therefore, it is for these unselfish contributions on behalf of the Florida citrus industry that we welcome Harold McTeer as the 161st member of the Florida Citrus Hall of Fame.